Yo, what is up, you guys? I'm BJ Kicks. I buy comics, I read them, and I review them, all for your viewing pleasure. And you are watching another episode of The Hangout. This is the live show that I do every Thursday where we hang out, we talk comics and pop culture. Sometimes I just talk with you guys in the live chat. Other times I bring on a special guest like we have in the building this evening. Now, before I introduce this guest, I do want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of the Hangout, and that is Organic Price Books. Organic Price Books is the best place to look online for collected editions, such as this one, right? Hold on. So I just grabbed this bad boy. This is the Firepower hardcover by Robert Kirkman, art by Chris Samney, colors by Matt Wilson, Russ Wooten letters, all this stuff. This book is beautiful. It's got a retail price of $49.99. You can grab it for $40 flat at organicpricebooks.com right now. There's limited stock remaining. So definitely make sure you do that. If you use the code BJKicks at checkout, you'll save $2 on that order. Or if you're like me and you order way too much stuff anyway, then bundle 3 items or more together. They will ship in one package when you use the code BJKicks, ship it together, and you'll save 5%, which surprisingly adds up. It really does. So once again, thanks Organic Price Books for sponsoring the Hangout. And I see we've got quite a few people here. My man Menterprises is here. C Rook's here. Bunkmaster B is here, but he did not catch AI letting us know if the murder needed a hook or not. Let's see. KSPN's about to pop out in 2 hours. Yes, Celtics Warriors game 1. I think I have just decided that I'm going to be going for the Celtics in this series just because I don't want any LeBron slander on my watch. But enough of that talk. We've got a special guest in the building tonight. Tonight, I am speaking with a writer, an artist, an entrepreneur, a graphic designer. He's the host of the Stoked podcast. He's co-host of Top 5 Live with my homies, the Fourth Wall guys, that I spend way too much time watching that podcast. And he's the creator of Strong, which is up on Kickstarter right now. So without further ado, allow me to welcome to the Hangout, Mr. JaVon Stokes.
What's good, man? What's good? That's a great intro, man. I appreciate that, man. I felt like somebody.
You are somebody. That's what
I'm
Jesse
trying,
Jackson said.
I'm trying. What's good, man? What's good?
Not a whole lot, man. I'm doing well. I'm glad you are as well.
Yes, thank you for having me on, man. Thank you.
No problem. My man Buckmaster B says, come aboard, Kicks. There's plenty of room in the Celtics fandom for all the bandwagons.
Oh, yeah, that bandwagon been full since March. Not even March. I would say like February.
Yo, my best friend, who was the best man at my wedding, he's been a Celtics fan for as long as I remember teams, strictly because his favorite color is green.
You couldn't pick the Bucks, or
I mean, what were the Bucks doing then? Plus, the Bucks had the. Well, I mean, it was definitely mostly Forest Green.
There's a few other green teams. That's okay.
But I mean, Paul Pierce was popping, so I guess
Yeah, I follow players more so than teams. So I was rooting for like Ray Allen and KG and Paul Pierce for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was rooting for Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I like Jason Tatum. I like Jaylen Brown. So we don't have a team in Connecticut for basketball. So people find whatever team that they like or player they like, and they just latch on to them.
Right. Yeah. We have a team in North Carolina. We've got the Hornets, I guess. Right. But
I'll take that.
The Hornets, like the Muggsy Bogues Hornets, were fly. Then they left, and we didn't have a team for a minute. So
you got LaMelo now.
Yeah, we got LaMelo now. But I mean, most of us just grew up like Bulls fans. Like I was a Bulls fan or a Michael Jordan fan.
Everybody.
Then it was AI, and then it was LeBron for me. And and LeBron's still in the league. LeBron's been in the league like all of my basketball fandom days, which is crazy.
I've never been a LeBron fan, and it's not. I got nothing to do with the man. I'm a fan of him as a person.
Mm-hmm.
but LeBron always ended up beating teams that I like. So I was like, I can't stand this dude, man. He keep
Right.
beating. He would beat the Celtics. All right, he beat the Celtics. You gonna beat? I like the Pistons for a second. You beat the Pistons.
Right.
I was just like, all right, man. You're just gonna beat everybody I like. So I don't really like you, dude. I don't basketball like you. You're a nice
Yeah,
guy.
I didn't basketball like Kobe until he retired and started doing interviews about the Mamba mentality and all
That
that,
too.
But while Kobe was playing, nah.
Oh, I've never rooted for the Lakers a day in my life.
Or yeah, it was very conflicting. Like when LeBron decided to go to the Lakers, I'm like, y'all been rooting against the Lakers all this time, like against the Lakers specifically, and now you're like on that team. It just feels weird.
That's a match made in heaven for me. I was just like, oh, so now I can't like you because of the team you on? Bet, cool. I'm good. I'm good. But I that man, he's a great man though, like as a person.
Yeah.
Like we talking basketball here, but as a person, I got nothing but respect for LeBron James.
Yeah, absolutely. Like for me, Jordan's still the GOAT, but LeBron is absolutely my favorite player of all time. Like on the court and off, like that's it.
I've been saying that he's the second greatest player of all time. And to me, if there's been 5,000 plus people who play professional basketball and you're the second, that's not an insult.
That's true.
When I tell people they get upset, I'm like, that's not an insult, dude.
Right.
If you're second to only Jordan, I think you're doing all right.
I think so too. But I think the issue that I have is like the tone with which people speak, like, oh, he could never be as good as Jordan. And it's like, look, if he had better teams around him.
Oh, we're not doing this.
But
we're not doing it. I do this enough with Danny. I can't.
All right.
I can't.
And you know what? We don't even have a whole lot of time.
I can't do this. Not with. I be dealing with this with Danny every week. Danny tries to bring something up to justify why LeBron is better than Jordan. I can't.
Again, for me, he's not. Like, because I'm old enough to remember Jordan and just the way Michael Jordan took over the world, and like all the there's the DVD set, the Ultimate Jordan, where they package all his greatest games or whatever. There's like nobody that took over games like Jordan, like not even Kobe, and Kobe's probably the closest, but not even Kobe. So it's like, for me, I can see like Jordan is still the GOAT. Yes. But LeBron is not. It's not like Jordan's here and LeBron's way here and has no hope, right? But I mean, 6 and 6 is a magical thing.
Yeah, but we can talk about that another time. You can come on Top 5 Live and bring that up.
There's no need. Danny is enough LeBron standing for all of us. But yeah. So you're here to talk about Strong, the characters you created. And the Kickstarter that you've got going. And I promise we're going to get to her. But I had to ask you, right? Because
here we go.
Look, because I watch Top 5 Live, right? And if you guys aren't familiar, Top 5 Live is a podcast they do every Tuesday night, right?
Yep, every Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Okay. And it's hosted on the Fourth Wall Comics YouTube and other parts in the far reaches of the interwebs. But basically the whole thing is there's 3 indie comic book creators debating everything. Like the other day's episode was the top 5 most gangster biblical figures, which is just like, so if you've never been inside like a black barbershop, right? If you ever seen the movie Barbershop, it's like, ain't really like that, but it is like this. It is like that podcast. So check out the Top 5 Live podcast. Skip says MJ's a GOAT, Bron ... Look, man, we're not doing this.
That's deep waters, man.
Right. So you'll get all kinds of hot takes. Like Michael Jackson had a hot 10 years in his career. But also another take that I've heard is JaVon's very interesting stance as it pertains to legacy characters in comics. And so I just wanted to hear, for the record, what are your thoughts on characters like this new Wallace West or Riri Williams and so on?
All right. Let me see if I can sum this up as succinctly as possible. I don't have a problem with legacy characters if you're actually intending on them staying. But if it's just like, we want to do this for a period of time and then we're going to shuffle the character off to the side and then bring back the original guy, that's when I'm just, I don't care. Like, I don't, no, I mean, it sounds bad, but like, I really don't care when we've got a Black Thor. I mean, okay, cool. You got a Black Thor, and you'll have a Black Thor for maybe a year or two, and then the real Thor will come back, and then you will never see the Black Thor again. And and that's how I've kind of dealt with it. I'm a very very jaded about it. I think if you're gonna do it, it needs to stick. Like, to me, the best legacy character was Wally West. And I was really upset when they brought Barry Allen back because Wally West was the Flash for an entire generation of people, like maybe multiple generations of people. Like, when people think of the Flash, I think 9 times out of 10 people think Wally West now, as opposed to Barry Allen. And then what made it worse is they started giving the best attributes that we loved from Wally West, they gave him to Barry Allen. So because Barry Allen was a cipher. He didn't have a personality. He was a blank slate. Even back in the day, he was a blank slate. He was a very, white bread superhero, square, personality. And so when he died, he became more in his memory than he ever was in actuality. And Wally surpassed him in everything. And then they rolled it back to bring back Barry Allen, and it was just like, why? Like, what was the point other than you're nostalgic for a character that didn't really have relevance at all, until he died.
Right.
So that's kind of how I look at it. So I'm always jaded. Like Michael Watson and we had a memorable back and forth on Top 5 about Miles Morales. And I said, listen, man, I'm happy that people like that they have a Black Spider-Man, but I just can, Peter Parker is who Spider-Man is in everybody's head. Like, eventually you might think about Miles Morales, but Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Like, it is what it is. Miles Morales is the Black Spider-Man, and that's my problem. Once you start putting adjectives in front, it's no longer the character.
Right. I think there are enough differentiators between Miles and Peter, or at least in adaptations. I don't read Miles comics. I don't find them particularly interesting. At least current. I started reading Miles Morales at issue 25 of this current run, and it was just like, It was more exciting than current Spider-Man, but that wasn't a very high bar. So yeah, so I'm not big on Miles, but I feel like in the movie they gave him enough of like a difference in personality to where there are other things that you could identify with. Like, maybe you're an artist, or like you like to spray paint and stuff like that. And, they added a lot of Brooklyn to Miles. I think, it worked out in that way. And, I don't really see, interestingly enough, and maybe it's because I, live near Black people, but I don't see a lot of like regular Spider-Man among kids. It's all about Miles, even like white kids that I see. So I think Miles somehow ended up with enough staying power, but I do think you're largely right. Like, I guess because Miles is kind of the only counterpoint that I can think of.
Yeah, I was gonna say, me and Michael kind of agreed that he's kind of the outlier, but there are other outliers, but they're outliers for different reasons. So, like, say Miss Marvel. Miss Marvel's a legacy character, and the reason why that's sticking, and it probably will stick, is because the person who was using the Miss Marvel moniker has graduated up to Captain Marvel. And that's Carol Danvers,
right?
And even Carol Danvers, they've teased bringing back the original Captain Marvel so many times. I just I'm just kind of waiting for them to go. The people were clamoring for Captain Marvel to return,
right?
But you know, you never know. But you know, she's got staying power because the character Carol Danvers is probably never going to take the Miss Marvel moniker back. They're probably never going to give it back to her. So it's hers,
Right.
and she keeps it.
Right.
So you know, there are always going to be, you know, exceptions to every rule.
Yeah.
But to me, the exceptions are when it works, like a legacy character works. To me, it doesn't work when either they're sharing the name of a character. Like I know they're doing the 2 Captain America series, one with Steve Rogers and one with Sam Wilson.
Right.
And I mean, you can tell me all day you want that Sam Wilson is Captain America, but that man is a Falcon and Steve Rogers is Captain America. Like, okay, all right, sure, he's Captain America now until they want to bring him back as Falcon.
Right.
And it's because I've been reading comics for so long, and I understand the business of it. You know, we need a jolt to the readership, so let's make Nightwing Batman, and it's gonna stick, guys. This is him, and you're just like, okay, cool. And then Bruce Wayne comes back.
Right.
So,
yeah, it's funny because your Barry Allen take sounds a lot like Jeffrey Thorne's Hal Jordan take, and people lit him up for his Hal Jordan take.
I never heard that.
So Jeffrey Thorne just finished up a 12-issue run on Green Lantern, where John Stewart was like the primary. Well, honestly, it wasn't even just John Stewart. Like literally every minority Green Lantern got some shine in that book, to the point where a lot of people were like, okay, he's just anti-white. But when it was announced that Jeff Thorne was taking over the book, people dug up like old tweets where Jeffrey Thorne was basically like, yo, Hal Jordan is like the worst Green Lantern ever. Why is John Stewart not the Green Lantern? Hal Jordan is so milquetoast, as some people would say, so white bread.
He been copying my tweets, man. He be copying my message.
It was like, I think the tweet was, and I don't have the quote exactly, but it was like, the best thing that ever happened, or the most interesting thing that ever happened to Hal Jordan, was him becoming the Parallax.
Yes, that is. We share the same mentality. I like Kyle Rayner. I loved Kyle Rayner.
Funny enough, Jeffrey Thorne was apparently the president of the Kyle Rayner fan club. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Hal Jordan was boring before. He like, listen, I know that there are a lot of people who read old Green Lantern comics back in the day and they enjoyed it because they were a kid and, you know, whatever. But he was never a big selling book. Like they moved Hal Jordan off that book so many times. It's not any funny. They brought in Guy Gardner, bring in John Stewart. Like he could never maintain the readership's interest because he was boring. And I mean, I give credit to Jeff Johns. You know, Jeff Johns was able to come in, but even when Jeff Johns came in, I don't think he made Hal Jordan that much more interesting. He made Green Lantern as a concept more interesting by doing the different core and everything like that. Right. And, you know, he would use Hal Jordan to bounce off, you know, Guy Gardner and John Stewart. It was always in relation to everybody else, but Hal Jordan by himself is boring, man. I say that every day.
I'm not the biggest Hal Jordan fan. One of the first books I reviewed for this channel was Green Lantern Rebirth, which is the start of Johns' run.
Right.
And, you know, my takeaway from it was, no matter how I feel about Hal Jordan, he makes it very clear that everyone in the DC universe views Hal Jordan as like the greatest of them. So I can accept that they feel that way. I'm not necessarily in that same camp, but it was cool. But I mean, I think, you know, people could assume that I like John Stewart for the same reason I play as Kareem Campbell and Tony Hawk. And, you know, they might be right. But there's a lot about his backstory that I enjoy. And I grew up with the Justice League animated series. So for me, John Stewart's Green Lantern.
Right. So. And I'm glad that they're giving him shine now. I haven't really read the book. I know of Jeffrey Thorne. I probably I think I follow him on Twitter and on Facebook. I haven't read a Green Lantern book. To be honest with you, dude, the books that I read now are trades. Like I wait for stuff to come out in trades because I always miss issues. And even when I buy issues, like I got in on the new X-Men run the not the Hickman title, but the new title when it's Cyclops, Jean Grey, Sync,
Oh yeah.
Rogue. Like I bought like maybe the
Jerry
first.
Dugan.
Yeah, I bought maybe the first 2 or 3 issues, and then I missed like the 4th one, and then I missed the 5th, and then by the time I come back, it's like 9. I was just like, all right, I'll wait.
Yeah,
I'm terrible at that.
I'm getting to that point as well. Like, if people can see under my desk in some of my videos, and it's like that's where I keep my current stack of comics, and it just keeps growing. Like it's so hard to keep up. They're doing these events every month, and so it's like you need 8 different comics to get the story that you probably could have read in 3.
Yep.
It's a lot. And so I've actually got a video coming where I'm detailing some of the changes that I'm making, because by the time I get to read a story, it's already out in trade, or they did some deal and it's available on the iPad for way cheaper. So it's about time to cut the fat.
I'm even worse with indie comics, man. All my friends, I back Kickstarters, and then I get the book and I'm like, man, I can't wait to sit down and read it. But let me finish this page from my book. And then I put the book down and I'm like, oh, I was supposed to go and read that. All right, I'll get to it. I promise I'll get to it.
Right.
But I'll support the Kickstarter, man. Eventually I'm going to have, a vacation when I just throw all those books in my bag and then just read it. But
yeah, at this point, this whole room is like my retirement plan. Like one day I'm going to quit my job, and I'm just going to have money coming in, a pension or whatever it's going to be. And I don't want to really watch TV, so I'll be reading books. I used to be able to knock out one of these like thick omnibus editions a week, and I haven't done that in a minute. Ever since my second child was born. It's crazy.
Yeah, I understand that. Trust me.
Right. But look, so we talked about your stance on legacy characters. I honestly thought we would get more pushback from the audience, but seems everybody agrees with you, and I mean, I generally do as well. Bunkmaster says, give me Hal Jordan from Johns and Darwin Cook's New Frontier, then put him on a shelf and leave him there.
Dang. I gotta read New Frontier, man. I really do. I've seen the movie, and I've read like pieces of it, but I once again, that's another book on my list that I got to get to.
Yeah, I read Batman Ego by Darwin Cook, and that made me want the New Frontier just because I love the artwork.
Yeah.
And now I have New Frontier, but I need to make time to read it. And it's only like 6 issues, so I should hurry up and do that.
Yep.
But so we're here to talk about Strong. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that the viewing audience can see what we're talking about here. But Strong issue 0, you are kickstarting right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's got about 19 days to go. You're a little over halfway to your goal.
Yep, about 55% or something like that.
Nice. I'm not doing math tonight. So tell us a little bit about this character and this book.
Okay. So for those that don't know, I have a previous book or an ongoing book. I do a book called Heat. And I've been saying that Heat is the story of power in unsure hands, or unstable hands, I should say. But Strong is the story of when your wish comes true times 1,000. She's a traditional superhero in the sense that she got powers and decided I want to help people. And in the world of the Stokes Verse, having powers and using them is kind of against the law, so she's got to put on a costume.
Gotcha.
But the hook for Strong number 0 is you get her origin, how she got her powers, which I believe has a really nice sentimental hook at the end, a twist at the end of it regarding her origin. But the crux of the story is the beginning of a friendship. So there's a reporter who gets an opportunity to interview Strong, and within the interview, Strong decides I don't really like to just talk. I like for my actions to speak for me. So she takes this reporter into her world, and her and the reporter go on adventures, a couple of adventures, and the reporter gets to see a different side of the hero and who she is. And then it begins to be this kind of push and pull because the reporter is trying to get to know Strong, and Strong is a very guarded individual for obvious reasons. So, Strong then pushes back to get to know more about the reporter, but she's similarly guarded. So it's these two women who have walls up, and the point of the story is them kind of slowly taking the walls down brick by brick until they, and then you see if they become friends or not. And I wanted to do it in that way because it is a 0 issue. It's supposed to be a springboard into a mini series. If everything goes well, and then B, I wanted to do something where you could get. So by the time you put the book down, it's 32 pages, full color. By the time you put the book down, you know exactly who this person is. You might even know somebody like her. And you know who the reporter is, and you've probably met somebody like her.
Word. So it's funny because as you were describing it, like at first I thought about like the reporter as our ride along character, as they say.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
It's how you're getting the point of view, how you're learning everything through her eyes. But it sounds like that point of view or that perspective kind of switches between the reporter and Strong. But I got excited because when you were explaining like the initial hook, I'm like, that reminds me of the first issue of Blood Syndicate, where we've got the reporter that goes to Paris Island to like learn about this gang and how they're operating. And that's exciting. I just love that angle.
I totally forgot about that. I had that. I bought the Blood Syndicate when it first came out, so maybe it's gotten my subconscious. But yeah, it's very similar.
Nice.
It doesn't have that twist. I'll tell you that. I remember that twist.
Right.
But yeah, it's very much it is a little bit of ride along. This individual, taking somebody who's not a part of a superhero universe and kind of dragging them into it. But it also is an opportunity to kind of get to know two women. And
Gotcha.
I've been saying this. It's the Bechtel test. Have you ever heard of that? I think it's called. I think I'm pronouncing it right, but I've been saying this. But the Bechtel test is like in a movie. It's this test where do you have two women talking about something that doesn't involve like a man or getting a man or dealing with a man or whatever like that. And that test has always been in my head, and I kind of took a challenge to write a book that not only passes the Bechdel test but just destroys the Bechdel test. It's so good. So this isn't a Strong needs help with her love life. This is the reporter wants to know about Strong and is concerned only with getting to know about Strong. And then Strong wants to begin to know more about the reporter. They kind of get a begrudging respect. Gotcha. But there's action. There's a couple of big action scenes in it. It's big, bright, shiny superhero stuff. It's for all ages. So, you can read it. Your kids can read it. Everything.
Nice. I love that she's so like easily passing this arm wrestling challenge.
Yeah, the marketing came to me as soon as I figured out the name Strong.
Word. This art is cool. So you actually went to school for art. You graduated from SCAD, right?
I did. I graduated from SCAD with a degree in 3D animation.
Word. So I guess that kind of begs the question, why comics?
Comics is my first love. It's how I got better at reading. I've always been a avid fan of it. I consider myself a historian of comic books.
Word.
I've always loved them. It's a love affair that I will never go away. And I love animation. I do love animation, and I have every intent on getting back to it. But I decided, let me live my dream now, which is to have my own comic book out there. and here I am.
Word. So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Who would you say are some of your influences when it comes to comics?
Well, not including my mother, who was an artist. She's my overall influence. I've been following my mom's footsteps, like start to finish. You know, she was an artist. I'm an artist. She started her own business. I'm starting my own business. She works with kids. I work with kids from time to time.
Mm.
But I would say Todd McFarlane. I've been a fan of Todd McFarlane since, I would say, since Image.
Mm.
The fact that he was just he's so defiant, and I'm gonna do it my way with my characters. I don't necessarily need Marvel. I'll work with y'all when I feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that mentality I've always admired.
Right.
And the fact that he made his character a black man. Like, he had the biggest character in the world spawn at one point, and it was a black man. And yeah, he was burnt, but it's still black under there. That's all right.
Right.
But yeah, so Todd McFarlane, I'd say obviously Stan Lee, for obvious reasons. I don't even need to go in there. I think we can all say that we are all influenced by him.
Right.
Hold on, it sounds like my son. JaVon, go to the bathroom. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, sure.
Sorry about that, guys. I love, there's certain artists whose work I'm always looking at to try to get better with. George Perez is my favorite comic book artist. He was my favorite before he passed. He's been my favorite for decades now. Who else? Jesus. Howard Porter. There's a lot of Howard Porter in my artwork. I just realized that. Howard Porter, Ron Garney, Jack Kirby, obviously, Neil Adams, John Romita Jr., John Romita, his father. There's artists who are so wildly underrated, and they never get talked about as being amongst the best anymore. At one point they were, because they were a lot more in the spotlight. But the Kuberts, man, Adam and Andy Kubert.
Oh yeah,
Adam and Andy, they're phenomenal artists, man.
Yeah, and Adam's on Wolverine right now, and
yeah,
it's amazing.
I think Andy's doing Superman. He's doing a Superman and Supergirl. But their art is so dynamic. They make every character look like an A-list character.
Yeah.
I mean, I have their Kazar. I have Andy Kubert's Kazar run, and Kazar's never looked better than when Andy Kubert did it.
Right.
And his dad, and obviously their dad, Joe Kubert. But there's a long list of people who influence me. Everybody who's ever worked on a milestone book has influenced me. Christopher Priest, Dwayne McDuffie, Dennis Cohen, obviously, MD Bright. Who else? Jesus. Oh man, there's so many guys whose work I just, John Paul Leon and his run on Static. Yeah, so I mean, to ask who's my influence, I might as well just keep reading, man, because like I said, I'm a historian. I love to learn about the history of comics, and once you start getting into it, you see so many artists. Walter Simonson, Dan Jurgens, Mark Bagley.
Yeah,
I can keep going. I should say.
Cool. Yeah, let's not get started on the milestone talk tonight, because that'll just be the rest of the show.
I love Milestone, man. I was there at ground zero, man. Ground zero. I mean, I bought Static, Icon, Hardware, and Blood Syndicate off the rack.
That's dope.
I think I might even have them somewhere.
I was just being taken off the rack at the hospital in Dade County when those books came.
Me right there, man. Thanks.
My bad, man. My bad.
But no, seriously, I remember seeing Static on the rack. I remember seeing Icon. I think it was Icon first. Which one was first? Well,
Hardware came first. It's Hardware.
Right. Hardware came first. I remember seeing that, and that was like nothing I had ever seen before. Like, I had such a visceral reaction.
Right.
And Static, is the spiritual father of Heat. He's always been the spiritual father for Heat, even down to the cover. The first cover of Heat is kind of a callback to the first cover of Static. And then Icon, I loved Icon. Yeah, I was riding with that. They made it possible for me to do this. They made it, I was like, okay, so I can be black and put out a black character and have my book out. Like, that's possible. I was like, okay, all right.
Right. Yeah, I will never know Milestone from that standpoint, like just kind of seeing it in real time. I learned all of this kind of like as a historian. Like I read Icon first and was like, oh, this is dope. And then I finally read Static and I was like, yo, this feels like whoever wrote it like knew me personally.
Yep.
And that kind of started it all. So my man Jay is here. He says, I still have a complete run of Milestone Media.
Hey,
I do too. Mine is very recent, but I have it. I'm very excited. It's like the pride of my collection. Our Borough Snake says, hey, shout out South Florida, Miami.
What's up, man? But yeah, you know, Strong and Heat, they're just, you know, they're me trying to continue the tradition of strong black, and in Strong's case, Afro-Latina characters who are not stereotypes.
Right.
They don't, you know, for those people that read Heat, Heat isn't, you know, he's not an orphan. You know, his dad's not a gang member. He's not a gang member. His dad is actually a lawyer. His mother's a cook. You know, they live in a nice house. You know, they do well for each other. Like, he's, you know, he's never wanted for anything in life. I didn't feel like doing another former gang member, you know what I mean? Like, you know, or somebody who's like struggling in life.
Right.
You know, like, I didn't want to do that because I know so many people that look like me that aren't that way.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And, you know, Strong is a little different. Strong is more, I mean, she's in her early 20s, you know, so she's a different breed. And really the whole point of doing this is because I want more female superheroes that look like us, that have the same complexion as we do. Because, you know, the pickings is slim out there for, you know, black women, and especially the Latino women, if they want to find a character that looks like them. And I was like, you know what? I can do that. Like, I have the ability to do that. You know, I could have put out another male superhero, and, you know, it would, you know, I could do that easy. But there's a challenge in creating a female superhero and making sure, or doing your best to make sure that it's an authentic voice to them.
Right.
That they don't sound like stereotypes, that that a woman can see herself in Strong the way I see myself in Heat.
Right. So now you've mentioned the Stokes verse. So this book takes place like in the same continuity as Heat.
Same continuity. There is a little shout out to Heat in it, but it's not Heat's story. But yeah, they're in the same universe.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, are they so interconnected that like I need to read Heat before I read this, or is it just they kind of reference each other some?
Nope. I will say this: if you've read the first issue of the new Heat book that I did, there's a nice little hint to Strong. But this is a book you can read on your own, and you absolutely don't need to read Heat. But I tried to do it so that if you read them both, you can start to see the connections.
Okay. So we've got about 20 minutes. So I guess we're about 2/3 of the way through our time here. So I want to make sure we highlight some of these rewards that are available. So you can back this comic for as little as $3 and get a digital copy of Strong.
Yep.
Right. But you can go all the way up to what? What's this? What's
I think the top one is 1,000. The 1,000 one you get. So what I did is, so every tier, you basically get everything from the tier above it. So as you go up, you get everything. So for the top tier, you get digital copy of Strong. You get digital copy of the new Heat book that just came out. You get physical copies of both books. You get all the previous Heat books that came out before, all with new covers. You get a print, full color print of Strong. You get both the Strong shirts that you can see there. You get a new Heat t-shirt that I'm designing right now, which I should have. I should be able to actually no, I just put it up this morning, this afternoon. So you get a new Heat t-shirt, you get an original quick sketch of Strong, you get a digital drawing of yourself wearing either the Heat outfit or the Strong outfit.
Wow.
And let me see, you get an original page from Strong number 0, and then the last one, I give you an original full color drawing of whatever character you want me to draw. That's for $1,000. So I think that's a lot, and you know, there's tremendous value with that.
Absolutely. So
if you got the pockets,
right. And it looks like, I mean, there's a lot of so it looks like at least 12 people will be able to go home with original pages from Strong between these two tiers, between the $500 and $1,000 tiers. That's dope. So as far as the Stokes verse is concerned, what all is out now?
So right now, all Heat Heat has been my focus. But like I said, for the people who read the first issue, you can see I got some new characters that I plan on giving I'm going to do another 0 issue, hopefully either later this year or next year. For those characters, and then the goal is to do a 3 to 4 issue miniseries for Strong after this. I've got Heat number 2 I'm about halfway through it. Hopefully it should be done by July if I eschew sleep for the next month or so. I could probably bang it out by July, and then the 3rd issue hopefully by the end of the year, by September, October. And then the big thing that I'm working on is I'm trying to put together is I want to do a Heat annual where I have 48 pages and get 3 or 4 people to do about 10-page stories. I don't know when that'll be out. It just depends on how quickly I can get the teams together. But I'll probably do a Kickstarter for that too.
Dope. So just speaking to the need for Black and Afro-Latina characters, C. Rook says Riri Williams and Storm were the only ones that came straight to the top of his head.
Hey, man. I don't know if you're a man or a woman, but if you want more, Strong is right in front of you. She is literally the most powerful, most physically powerful metahuman in the universe.
Word. So you're saying she's stronger than She-Hulk?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We're talking power on the level of Superman at his best.
Sheesh. That's dope.
I mean, you can't call yourself strong and be weak.
Right. So I'm so new to like this whole truly independent comics game, right? Like, so I don't know how I even stumbled on the Fourth Wall guys, but I ended up backing Lumberjacks first, and then no, I backed Ace Blade first. And I backed Lumberjacks after that, and that's how I got put onto like all of you guys.
I don't know how I stumbled across the Fourth Wall guys either. I don't know. I don't even remember.
Yeah, and so at this point, I mean, I've backed projects from Freestyle Comics. There's a lot of people like in you guys like circle, and it goes deep. But I want to know like how that journey is, like being a truly independent comic creator, right? Like you're not backed by say like Image or even Dark Horse or Scout, right? What all goes into putting these books together? I assume you work, a full-time job as well. Like, how would you describe this for other people who might be aspiring to do the same things?
Running a marathon, and then when you reach the end of the marathon, they tell you to run it again and run it faster this time.
Wow.
But once again, that's for me because I do all the artwork on my book. I do all the drawing, I do all the inking, the coloring, lettering, everything.
Wow.
So for me, it's like I finished one issue of Heat. All right, cool. Get up, do it again. And this time do it better. So that's the best metaphor I can find for it. It's scary and
Mhm.
exciting and refreshing all at the same time. I
Mm.
have my character. I can do whatever I want with the character. I want to blow up the world. I can blow up the world. If I want to take their hand off, I can take their hand off. There's no editorial, there's nobody who can tell me what to do with my character,
Right.
but you're also out there by yourself. Your money goes into it. More of my money has gone into my books than any Kickstarter I've ever done.
Right.
But you have to have an insane drive,
Hmm.
internal drive to do it. And I do have a full-time job. So, for me, sometimes I have to not play with my son because I got to do an interview or
Yeah.
I got to finish a page. Sometimes I can't go to bed till 1, 2 o'clock because I got to get this book done. I can tell you the craziest thing, like when I was doing when I was doing the Heat graphic novel, the Black Flame,
Hmm.
I had to get it done by a certain time because I had to do Comic-Con the next week, and the printer needed it it was like a Friday. I never forget, it was like a
Mm.
Friday. And I took Wednesday and Thursday off from work and I did a 2-day long work, like just sprint.
Sheesh.
And I did not sleep.
I believe it. Yeah, I
And it
said
was
this.
on my birthday. That's what happened. It was on my birthday.
Wow.
Yeah, it was it was due on my birthday. So I finished on my birthday and then passed out.
That's crazy.
I went to Chick-fil-A to get food. I remember that. I went to Chick-fil-A
Mm.
to get food. I sat down in the Chick-fil-A to get food. I put my head against the wall and I fell asleep.
Wow. Yeah, man. I said this on Twitter a while back, but like I have so much respect for anyone who's like in the comics industry in any way, right? Because like, I come from the world of online marketing and consulting for businesses, right? And so I see like what people make. And in comics, it's like trying to make a living in comics is like trying to juice a rock. Like
Yeah.
it's insane. And
Yeah.
so I'm convinced that no one would be in this hobby in any capacity, whether they're a YouTuber, a creator, even up to the point of being like an artist at the big two. Like no one is doing that unless they absolutely love it. So
Yeah. Because usually the people who don't love it and think that they're going to get money off of it find out very quickly that ain't going to happen.
right.
And, there are a lot of people who've gotten very rich on
Hmm.
comic books, like I'll keep it 100. Robert Kirkman is a millionaire right
Hmm.
now off of comic books. And, I would love to be a millionaire off of comic books. But first and foremost, I do this because I love it. I do it because I get joy when people tell me that they loved reading my book. I get joy when I see somebody come back after buying my book to buy my next book,
Word.
who are excited to see me to do it. So that's why I do it, because I love to draw. I love to create. Um, I want to leave a mark on the industry,
Mhm.
but more than anything in the world, I do it because I love the medium. I love it. It's my, all respect to my wife. It's my second wife.
Sheesh.
And
Strong words there.
yeah, I've loved it since I was a child.
Yeah.
Since my dad gave me X-Men number 137,
Mm.
uh, Death of Phoenix. By the way, I had that, and I tore it up as a kid because I was a kid. Think
Feel
about it
you.
all the time. But I
Sheesh.
just, I love it, and I want to share it. Like I
Yeah.
want to share that love with other people.
Word.
And if I have, luckily I have the talent and the ability to do so.
Yeah.
And I appreciate people like you who, you share the love your own way by, doing reviews, giving people, forums to come on and talk about their stuff.
Well, thanks, man. Thank you. it's fun for me, right? Like as someone who discovered comics at such a later age. I didn't start reading comics till 2019. Like I
Hey,
had comics as a kid, but I didn't know that comics were a thing like outside of like New York. And so growing up in North Carolina, I didn't see them very often. And so I just happened to walk into a comic shop with my daughter because they had like free comic book day and had like a live artist there and she wants to be an artist. And so I was like, okay, cool, we'll come in here. And somehow I ended up falling in love with the medium. And so, I just take my background and try to amplify that. But I feel like we've got a question here from
okay.
someone aptly named BJ. And I think this is a great question to kind of end on. So if you have to describe comics in one word, what would it be? Or I guess maybe you have to describe the strong comic in one word.
My comic in one word.
Yeah.
Liberating.
Word. So strong number 0 will be out soon. The Kickstarter is live.
Can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
The book is done, y'all. So
Okay.
you are not backing a book that you're not giving money with the hope that somebody is able to finish the book. I'm telling you, as somebody who's doing the whole thing, the book is done.
That's big. That's big. I mean,
totally done.
There are
totally
so many
already.
There's so many books where it's like, you back the Kickstarter and a lot of the funding for the Kickstarter is going to pay the artist to finish up the work, is going to print the books and so on. So that's huge. The fact that the book's already done. And I'm sure you're at an advantage, just being the one who writes and draws your book, of course.
Yep. So I just wanted people to know, when the money is going to print, to expenses and stuff like that. But you shouldn't be waiting long for your swag. Pretty much everything is designed and ready. I've designed the t-shirts. The print is, I just finished flatting the print. I got to color the print tomorrow. And then I have to do one of the covers for the other books. But other than that, I mean, it's 19 days left, but I want to do more than the goal of 2,500. We're 50% of the way there. Hopefully, whatever you can do to help, I would appreciate.
Word. Well, yeah, I'm definitely going to go in here and back this. I'm trying to see which one I need to get. Let's also look and see when 19 days is. Let's make sure we're planning ahead.
Go ahead and get that $100 one. You can swing it, man. You can swing it.
I think I definitely want physical books, but then there's also like the trade paperback for Heat.
Yeah, the physical books. If you want all of the trades for the new stuff, go up. I think it's the $50 one.
Okay.
65. Wait a minute. What's 50? Oh no, it's the $80 one.
Okay, $80 here gets you physical copies of everything that's come out so far.
Plus t-shirts. You get t-shirts, you get books, you get digital copies.
Word.
I think that's the best value. You get 1, 2, 3, 4 books, 4 physical books, 4 digital books, 2 t-shirts, and a print. Yeah, no, that's value right there for $80.
Oh yeah. That's what's up. So yeah, man. Well, JaVon, I know you got places to be. You're a working man. You're running podcasts out here.
Yes.
So real quick, guys, the Stoked podcast is live on, is it the Visually Stoked Media YouTube page?
Watch it on Visually Stoked Media. You can watch it at a Stoked podcast page on Facebook.
Okay.
You can watch it on YouTube. I got Kyron Silva on today, so I'm looking forward to this one.
Nice. I think I'm talking to Kyron next week on the show.
He's a busy man too. We all hustling out here, man. We're all hustlers.
Nice. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end this stream, guys, so you guys can go and watch a Stoked podcast. I'll leave a link in the first comment of this video so you guys can check that out. I'm gonna let JaVon go ahead and get a drink of water or something.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming on to the show. Good luck with the rest of this campaign. I'm gonna go get in where I fit in and back over here as well. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. Have a good one. All right. So yeah, man, that was JaVon Stokes. Again, thank you to JaVon for coming, sharing some time with us to talk about Strong, Strong issue 0, his journey in comics, his influences, his inspiration, and why he does what he does. You know, I like to highlight these indie creators because, I mean, let's be honest. If we don't highlight them, who's going to highlight them? They're not getting shine in the media, but, you know, they have just as much love for the medium as anyone else does. And so when I get a chance to highlight somebody who may not have had the spotlight otherwise, I try to jump on it. So thank you guys for sticking with the show. Thanks for being here and watching all the way to the end. You can back Strong at bjkicks.link/strong. Went ahead and made that a little bit easier for you. And that's pretty much all I got for you tonight. I want to send another huge shout out to our channel sponsor, Organic Price Books. You can order graphic novels, trade paperbacks, oversized hardcovers, and the like at organicpricebooks.com. You can use the coupon code BJKicks to save $2 on every order, every time. So thanks to JP, David, and the whole team over at OPB for sponsoring the Hangout. And look, I got to end early. I got a job interview in the morning. Not that I'm unemployed now, but, you know, I got a job interview. I got to flip this room. I got to shave my face, do all kinds of stuff. Thank you guys once again for sticking with me until the end. And I will see you in another one very soon. Until then, I hope you saw something you liked in this video. If not, hey, that's cool. You can always buy what you like. Just make sure you read what you buy. And be nice to others, because kindness makes the world go round. Peace.